The rain fell in a steady rhythm, tapping against the cracked windows of Alex Carter's small workshop. Inside, the dim yellow light flickered as he carefully wrapped his prototype model, a small, hand-built helicopter, in plastic to protect it from the weather. His hands were calloused, stained with grease and trembling slightly, not from fatigue, but from anticipation. This was the day he had been waiting for. The presentation at Skyrise Innovations, one of the world's leading aerospace companies. Alex wasn't a man with a degree or fancy credentials. He was a mechanic, a man who learned by taking apart engines and putting them back together until they roared to life again. But what he lacked in certificates, he made up for in pure, relentless curiosity. For years, he had worked on his idea, a hybrid helicopter that could stay stable even in violent storm conditions, using a unique gyroscopic balancing system and renewable power. When he finally stood before the sleek, glass-covered headquarters of Skyrise, his heart raced. He clutched his folder of designs like a lifeline as he entered the boardroom, where engineers in suits surrounded a long table. At the far end sat Elena Drake, the company's CEO, sharp eyes, flawless posture, and a confidence that filled the room. "So, Mr. Carter," she said with a polite smile that didn't reach her eyes, "you believe your homemade project has real-world potential?" "Yes, ma'am," Alex said firmly. "It's more than potential, it's ready. It can fly in winds that would ground most aircraft, and it runs on a hybrid system that could reduce fuel costs by 60%. A quiet laugh passed around the table. Elena tilted her head slightly. "Interesting. And where did you get your degree in aeronautical engineering?" Alex swallowed hard. "I don't have one. I'm a mechanic. But I've spent years," she interrupted with a smirk. "You're just a mechanic, not an engineer. Skyrise doesn't gamble on garage experiments." Her words hit like a punch, but Alex didn't flinch. "Maybe," he said softly, "but sometimes the ones fixing the machines see what the engineers miss." And Elena's smile turned cold. "Good luck with your—" "I'll be Mr. Carter." As security escorted him out, the rain poured harder. But in that storm, Alex made a silent vow. He'd prove her wrong. The old hangar stood at the edge of a forgotten airfield, its corrugated metal walls echoing every gust of wind that swept across the plains. Inside, Alex Carter worked tirelessly under the dim glow of a single hanging bulb. Tools lay scattered across the workbench, wrenches, wires, and half-finished parts that only he could make sense of. The centerpiece of it all was Project Phoenix, his dream brought to life in twisted metal and restless ambition. Every day bled into night, and every night into dawn. He'd wake up on the cold floor beside his creation, covered in oil and dust. His only companions were the hum of his soldering gun and the steady beat of his own determination. Skyrise had dismissed him, called him a fool, but Alex had turned that humiliation into fuel. He built new rotor blades from salvaged carbon fiber. He repurposed an old hybrid car battery to power the engines. Every test failure pushed him closer to perfection. He watched countless tutorials, read engineering forums, and filled notebooks with calculations. Without formal training, he was forced to learn everything the hard way, through failure, fire, and persistence. One evening, as he struggled to attach a new stabilizer, the sound of a car pulling up startled him. It was Maya, his childhood friend, and the only person who still visited. She walked in, shaking her head at the mess. "Alex, you've been at this for months," she said softly. "You're running out of money and you barely sleep. You need to face reality." He looked up from under the engine, his eyes burning with exhaustion and conviction. "Reality," he muttered. "Reality is what they tell you when they've already given up. I can't stop now. She said I couldn't do it, as that's exactly why I have to." Maya sighed, her heart aching for him. She placed a small food container on the workbench. "Then at least eat something before you change the world," she said with a faint smile. When she left, Alex stared at the helicopter's sleek frame. Rain began to fall again, just like the day of his rejection. He tightened one last bolt, whispering, "Let's show them what a mechanic can do." Outside, lightning flashed, and inside, Project Phoenix came alive with a flicker of light. The morning sun rose weakly over the horizon, painting the sky in muted shades of gold and grey. The airfield was silent, except for the whispering wind that danced through the tall grass. Alex stood before Project Phoenix, his heart pounding like a drum. Months of exhaustion, rejection, and solitude had brought him to this moment. The hybrid helicopter gleamed in the light, not perfect, but alive. Every inch of it was his creation, the polished rotor blades he had shaped by hand, the hybrid engine built from discarded technology, the onboard stabilizer coded from scratch using a laptop older than most smartphones. He ran his fingers over the metal body, feeling the pulse of his dream beneath his touch. Maya arrived just as he was strapping into the pilot seat. "You're not actually going to fly that thing alone, are you?" she called out, her voice filled with worry. Alex smiled faintly. "I didn't build it to sit on the ground." She shook her head but stayed back, holding her breath as he flipped the switches one by one. The engine coughed to life, a sputter that soon became a steady roar. Dust and gravel spun into the air. Project Phoenix began to tremble, then rise. The helicopter hovered uncertainly at first, wobbling against the crosswind. Alex gripped the controls tightly, adjusting the stabilizers. He remembered Elena Drake's smirk, the laughter of the boardroom, the word mechanic echoing like an insult in his mind. His jaw clenched. "Not today," he muttered. With a final adjustment, the aircraft steadied. The gyroscopic balance system he'd designed kicked in flawlessly, holding the helicopter level even as the wind howled. Slowly, confidently, Project Phoenix climbed higher, 50 feet, then 100, then 200. Maya gasped from below, tears glinting in her eyes. Alex's vision blurred for a moment, but he laughed, a deep, raw sound of triumph. For the first time, the sky didn't feel like a dream. It felt like home. After 10 minutes, he landed safely, his hands shaking with adrenaline. The rotors slowed to a stop. He stepped out, knees weak but heart blazing. He'd done it. The mechanic had flown, and nothing in the world could ever take that moment away. 2 weeks after the test flight, the world began to whisper about the mechanic who had defied the odds. A shaky phone video, recorded by Maya, showed Project Phoenix rising into the sky, stable even against heavy winds. The clip spread like wildfire across social media. Engineers, journalists, and aviation enthusiasts couldn't believe what they were seeing. Within days, Alex's quiet hangar turned into a storm of reporters, drones, and flashing cameras. Major news networks called him the genius mechanic. Aerospace blogs analyzed his invention frame by frame, while universities offered him honorary degrees he had once only dreamed of. But the real surprise came from Skyrise Innovations. One morning, as Alex adjusted Phoenix's engine mounts, a sleek black car pulled up to the hangar. Out stepped Elena Drake, the same CEO who had once smirked at him. Gone was her smug expression. In its place was a quiet, measured respect. "Mr. Carter," she began, her tone softer this time, "I saw the footage. I'll admit, I was wrong." Alex turned, wiping the oil from his hands. "You didn't believe in me then." "Why now?" Elena hesitated. "Because what you built changes everything. A hybrid craft that flies in storms. It could revolutionize rescue missions, transport, even military aviation. Skyrise wants to invest in you." "In this?" For a long moment, Alex said nothing. The rain outside drummed against the hangar roof, just like the day she'd rejected him. Finally, he looked at her and smiled faintly. "You told me I was just a mechanic," he said quietly. "You were right, I am. And it took a mechanic to build what engineers only dreamed of." Elena's eyes softened. "Then maybe the world needs more mechanics like you." Months later, Project Phoenix made its first public demonstration, soaring effortlessly above a roaring crowd. The hybrid engines purred smoothly as Alex piloted the craft, with Maya cheering from below. The audience erupted in applause, but Alex wasn't thinking about fame or fortune. He was thinking about the rain, the rejection, the long, lonely nights in his workshop, and how every no had led to this moment. The mechanic who was told he wasn't enough had built something that changed the world.